Chapter 2. The Theory of Equilibrium. Understanding the Balance of Human Emotions. The theory of equilibrium suggests that just as our bodies maintain a physical balance with nature, our emotions are also kept in balance by the natural forces of equilibrium. Opposite emotions and feelings like happiness and sadness that we experience in life naturally remain balanced within the human psyche because of equilibrium. Equilibrium is a natural balance between opposing forces that controls all types of physical and chemical reactions, including the biochemical reactions that occur within the human brain. All of the thoughts and emotions that we experience are the result of electrochemical reactions that take place in our brains. Therefore, it may be safe to assume that our emotions also maintain a natural balance because of equilibrium. Emotional balance is essential to good mental health. Emotional equilibrium is also a medical term used to describe a state of mental balance. A normal person with good mental health is considered to be emotionally balanced, meaning that she is experiencing the normal spectrum of human emotions in a well-balanced manner. People that are suffering from mental illness are often described as being emotionally unbalanced. In such cases, there seems to be a lack of emotional equilibrium. Our emotions must maintain a natural balance in order for us to maintain good mental health. My theory is that our emotions naturally maintain a degree of balance because of the natural forces of equilibrium. Feelings of happiness and sadness, anger and joy, even depression and euphoria will naturally balance out in a mentally healthy individual. Think about your own life, for example. Have you experienced more happiness than sadness? More sadness than happiness? Or has it been about even up to this point in your life? Most people agree that you have to experience sadness before you can understand happiness. Happiness actually seems to be an equal and opposite reaction to sadness that was previously experienced in life. When a baby is born, what's the first thing they do? They cry. And this is true for all babies. In fact, babies spend a lot of time crying before they ever start to smile and laugh. You have to cry before you can laugh. You have to experience sadness before you can even understand what happiness is. The theory of equilibrium explains that our emotions naturally tend to balance out because of equilibrium, the natural balance between opposing forces. Every moment of sadness that you feel will eventually be balanced by a moment of happiness. Therefore, whenever you're feeling sad, it's all right. You'll be happier later on because of it. In fact, sadness is a perfectly normal emotion that everyone experiences from time to time. You have to be sad sometimes in order to be happy later on. We all live in a state of equilibrium with nature. Our survival depends on a delicate balance between the air we breathe, the food we eat, and the sunshine that provides the energy we need to survive. If you remove any of these components, it will destroy the equilibrium we need to survive, and we will cease to exist. Any doctor can tell you that your body exists in perfect balance with nature. Any major disruption of your equilibrium with nature can cause you to die. Human emotions must also maintain a delicate balance in order for us to maintain mental health and survive. Equilibrium is the law of nature that keeps our emotions balanced, and we all live by the laws of Mother Nature. The forces of nature are exerted upon us every day, and we can't change them. All we can do is try to understand them. Understanding the laws of nature can be a great benefit to mankind, and understanding the principles of emotional balance can also be of great benefit to us individually. The principle of emotional balance. Human emotions naturally maintain balance because of the forces of equilibrium, and emotional balance is essential to good mental health. The feelings of happiness and sadness that we experience in life will ultimately balance out. In order to understand happiness, you must first experience sadness. Therefore, sadness is a perfectly normal part of the up-down cycle of human emotions. The problem that many people have right now is that whenever we are sad or depressed, we think that there's something wrong with us. The principle of emotional balance explains that sadness and depression are a perfectly normal part of life. Everybody gets depressed once in a while, and you have to be sad sometimes in order to experience happiness later on. Understanding the principles of emotional balance can help you think in a more positive way. Today I'm depressed, so tomorrow I will be happy. It has to balance out. It's the law of nature. Today I'm sad, so tonight I will be happy. It's just part of my normal up-down cycle of emotions. If you're sad for a whole week, that's even better. That means you're going to be happy for a whole week. And if you've been depressed for the last year, then you're really lucky because you have a whole year of happiness coming. The forces of nature guarantee it. Some people say that life has no guarantees, but I think I can prove that's wrong. The earth is in perfect balance with the sun, and the laws of motion guarantee the earth will keep on spinning, just as the law of gravity guarantees the earth will stay in orbit around the sun. Therefore, the laws of nature guarantee that the sun will come up tomorrow morning. So life does have certain guarantees. The theory of equilibrium explains that our emotions must remain balanced in order for us to maintain mental health. Every day of sadness that you have will be balanced by a day of happiness. Of course, it is difficult to measure human emotions, so we must also consider quantity versus quality. For example, one day of extreme depression may be balanced by 5 days of melancholy bliss. 1 hour of euphoria may be balanced by 4 hours of contemplation, or 1 day of remorse. The theory is simply that all of our emotions will naturally maintain a degree of balance due to the law of equilibrium. The theory of equilibrium is a new theory that explains the balance of human emotions. Happiness is something we all want. I want to be happy. You want to be happy. We all want to be happy. We often find happiness in our lives only to lose it again for unexplainable reasons. One day you can be happy and the next day you're sad, always leaving us wondering, why can't I be happy all the time? And what is the secret of happiness? The secret of happiness can be discovered through understanding the principles of emotional balance. Emotional equilibrium includes a natural balance between normal feelings like happiness and sadness. Therefore, nobody can be happy all the time. If you were happy all the time, you'd be emotionally unbalanced. Or to put it simply, stark raving mad. Being happy all the time is just a physical and psychological impossibility. That's why it's been a secret for so long. And you might still want to keep it a secret because we want to believe that once we find the secret of happiness, we'll live happily ever after. We all know that the only people that live happily ever after are the ones in fairy tales. The rest of us have to accept the up-down cycle of human emotions. Nobody can be happy all the time. Of course, this doesn't mean that you can't be happy for extended periods of time. You can be happy for days, weeks, even years at a time. It's also possible to reach a state of simple contentment or peaceful tranquility, consistent with emotional equilibrium. Benevolent tranquility may be fine for some people, but the rest of us emotional thrill seekers are searching for something more. We want the excitement of happiness, pleasure, and euphoria. And you can have all these feelings, but they don't last forever. You still have to maintain emotional balance in your life. We all have the same capacity for happiness as everyone else. It doesn't matter if you're Howard Hughes, or if you're Marilyn Monroe or Elvis Presley. You can't be happy all the time. There are many things you can do to create more happiness in your life and the lives of the people around you. Finding true love in your life is a prime example. Hard work and devotion also pay off in the end. We are all beautiful people, and happiness comes from within. If you want to be happy, you have to be happy with yourself first. Emotions are the fabric of life, and learning to accept all of our emotions, good and bad, is essential to our well-being. Feelings of happiness and sadness, anger and forgiveness, love and indifference, even fear and courage are all perfectly normal feelings in our lives. You have to feel fear before you can find courage. You'll have to feel anger before you can find forgiveness, and you'll have to feel the pain of indifference before you will find love. Once you understand the balance of human emotions, you'll be able to make the most of your happiness, and you can even make the most of your sadness, because you will realize that sadness is a perfectly normal part of life. The Principles of Emotional Balance explains that sadness is a perfectly normal part of the up-down cycle of human emotions. The next time you are sad or depressed, accept that this is a perfectly normal part of life. If you're really sad, cry if you can. The sadder you are now, the happier you'll be later on, because your emotions will naturally balance out. Do you think that it's good to cry? Crying is an essential part of your emotional balance. Without it, you'll never be able to enjoy your happiness to its fullest extent. Why do so many people think that crying is bad? And why do people try to avoid crying? It's probably because we've never been taught how good it is to cry, and we've been taught to feel sorry for people that are crying. Many people have been taught that men aren't supposed to cry, and that crying shows weakness. Crying actually fulfills one of our most basic human needs. Have you ever tasted your tears and wondered why sometimes they taste so sweet? Have you ever wept tears of joy? Have you ever gone for years without being able to cry and felt that something was really missing in your life? I believe that crying actually helps a person to understand compassion, love, and caring. I think crying is very good. When I cry, it makes me happy. It feels good to be able to cry. Crying brings you more closely in touch with your emotions, and once you realize this, you too may be shedding sweet tears of joy. When I see other people cry, I often feel happy for them, because they are experiencing an important part of their emotional balance, and I believe they'll be happier later on because they are crying now. When you see someone crying, you can help them by listening to their problems and telling them that it's okay to cry. It's actually good to cry. Helping people to deal with their emotions is an important part of learning to understand your own emotions. The problem is, when we get sad or depressed, we sometimes think it's because there's something wrong with us. Just because you're depressed, it doesn't mean there's anything wrong with you. We all have problems that cause us to be sad or depressed at times. So there's no reason to feel so alone. Khalil Gibran describes the balance of human emotions in his book, The Prophet. He says, "Your joy is your sorrow unmasked, and the selfsame well from which your laughter rises was ofttimes filled with your tears. The deeper that sorrow carves into your being, the more joy you can contain." I recommend you read the rest of his passage on happiness. Thus, you cannot have happiness without experiencing sadness, and you can't have joy without sorrow. just as you can't have north without south, and you can't have left without right. Verily, you are suspended like scales by the forces of equilibrium. Equilibrium is the balance of nature that we all live by, and once you begin to understand it, you'll begin to accept all of your emotions. There's a time to laugh, a time to cry. There's a time for anger and a time for joy. A time to reap, a time to sow, a time to live, and a time to die. It's all part of the natural balance of life. Every problem has a solution. We just haven't found all the answers yet. Talking about your problems is the first step towards solving them. The hardest part is finding someone that you can talk to in confidence, someone you can really trust, a true friend. Your friends can help you solve your problems just by listening to you. But in order to have a friend, you have to be a friend. You have to show the people around you that you care about their problems too, by taking the time to listen to them. Then they'll be willing to help you by listening to you too. Imagine if you told your friend that you were feeling sad or depressed, and they said to you, "That's okay, being sad is a perfectly normal part of life. You have to be sad sometimes in order to be happy later on. Would you like to talk about what's bothering you right now?" Talking about your problems is the first step towards solving them. Every problem has a solution. Your friend has offered to help by listening to your problems. You might respond, "I'd really love to be able to talk to you about what's bothering me, but if I say what I really feel, you might think that there's something wrong with me. We live in a hostile world where people are eager to step on you or take advantage of you without a moment's hesitation. There isn't enough love in this world, and it seems like we have to compete with everyone just to get ahead. Good friends are hard to find, and when it comes right down to it, all we really care about is ourselves." The conversation might continue. "You know, I've felt the same way before. We all need to know that other people care about us. The amazing thing is that the solution to this problem is so simple. If you want other people to care about you, all you have to do is show them that you really care about them. The only reason that people become lonely is when they're not willing to take the time to show other people that they care. We all have our own individual strengths and weaknesses. The problem is, how do you tell other people about your weaknesses? If you do, they might think you're not a strong person, and they might not want to be your friend. So we all carry on as if we're a pillar of strength, and we pretend that everything is okay. We try to avoid talking about our problems in an attempt to avoid exposing our weaknesses. Unfortunately, this only causes our problems to get worse. If you don't talk about your problems, it's a lot harder to find the solutions. The theory of evolution, as explained by Charles Darwin, proclaims survival of the fittest. Due to natural selection, only the strong survive. The theory of evolution is generally accepted among scientists around the world. If you believe its premise, simple logic can bring you to the following conclusion. Theory: survival of the fittest, only the strong survive. Fact: you have survived. Therefore, you are strong. You are fit. Fitness is something we all want. Some people don't even realize that we've already got it. This argument proves it by the simple rules of logic. If you believe the premise, the theory of evolution, then simple logic leads you to the conclusion. Do you believe you are fit and strong? Only the strong survive, and you have survived. Therefore, you are strong. Do you believe it? I do. The essence of being. It's all about a bright new season, and you will see the perfect reason for being is love, and you will learn we've reached the point of no return. It's time to learn the meaning of life, to save us from our pain and strife. The reason we're here is because of love, a little gift from high above. The time has come to understand that someday love will rule the land. The day will come and we will stand, everyone hand in hand. It just takes time to see the light. We have to fight to make things right. We all need love, and you will see that happiness was meant to be. We all have love inside our hearts. Love's in your soul, that's where it starts. Open your heart and you will find the love that's been there all the time. It's time to share what we've been given, to share our love and be forgiven. As we forgive both friend and foe, we all make mistakes, I'm sure you know. Mistakes we've made will help us grow, and that's the truth we all should know. So share your love and show you care, and you'll find love is everywhere. What is love, I've heard you say? Love is light to show the way. Love is caring about everyone else as much as you care about yourself. Love is the essence of being, and if you live, you can't help seeing. Love makes up your very soul to give us strength and make us whole. Love is caring, love's forgiving. Love is sharing, love is giving. Love's the reason that we're here, so spread the word and have no fear. Because love is the meaning of life. The power of love cuts like a knife. Overwhelming hatred, sorrow, and pain. True love sees no one to blame. Love is what we really need. There's no time for selfish greed. So show your love in every way, and you'll be happy every day.